It's a brand new season of Dog Jobs Australia where we'll be meeting a whole new bunch of incredible working dogs from all over the country. Be sure to tune in each week for more four-legged fun. It's going to be a great season. On today's episode, we're meeting some dogs with incredible jobs, from spreading love at hospitals to working in conservation and even being front desk at a fancy hotel. My name's Sarah. Welcome to Dog Jobs Australia. I'm here at Melbourne's Park Hyatt Hotel and I'm about to meet their very special canine ambassador, Mr. Walker. Mr. Walker has been with this hotel for many years, greeting guests and making everyone feel like they're at home. Let's go see him in action. Situated on the eastern side of the Melbourne CBD, the Park Hyatt is one of only 36 Park Hyatts worldwide. Its leafy surrounds and exceptional facilities aren't the only reason you might want to spend a night here. It's home to one of the world's furriest bellhops, the adorable and well-loved Mr. Walker. So I'm here at the beautiful Park Hyatt Hotel in Melbourne with Lee Shepherd, our hotel manager, and of course, canine ambassador to the hotel, Mr. Walker. Hard at work, I can see.
Yes, always hard at work. Yeah, nothing stresses him out, Sarah.
So Lee, how long have you been working here at the Park Hyatt?
I've been here for 3 years.
Okay, so you've been working with Mr. Walker for those last 3 years. Are you a dog person naturally?
Yes,
Okay.
always been a dog lover. So it was great to have Walker as a great bonus that came with the job.
And I know you mentioned these books, so he has a series of books.
Yes.
The Mr. Walker series. We've got the Tales of Mr. Walker, and this is like an anthology of little stories about his life.
That's right. This was all about Mr. Walker coming to the Park Hyatt and his life here and the adventures that he gets up to in and around the hotel.
Yeah. And obviously it's aimed at kids, so it's a bit sort of fun, a bit silly.
It is. It's beautiful, and it's all illustrated with lovely watercolours. Really nice little book.
Yeah, I think we've even got some fan art from him here, so let's see if we can dig some of this out.
It was actually, Sarah, last week was Walker's 6th birthday, and so these were the kids, I believe, at Rowville Primary School, and they wrote some beautiful birthday cards for him.
Oh, so they must have been reading the book and were so inspired by Mr. Walker that they wrote him some birthday cards. And look at this,
right.
Some amazing handiwork there. Oh, really good. So what does a typical day look like for Mr. Walker?
So he comes into work with me in the morning, and then at 10:30 he sits out the front. He's obviously seen someone collecting a tray of food.
Oh, someone's got food. Yep, so that's what that is. Off he goes.
So 10:30 he sits out the front, 10:30 till 12. And then again in the afternoon from 3:30 till 5. So you'll see at the front of the hotel, he's got his big bed where he sits, and guests can come and spend some time with him and give him a scratch and a pat and have a chat with him. And it's just lovely, relaxed atmosphere.
nice gentle day for him.
A really nice welcome to the hotel to have Walker sitting there. As I said, we've got this beautiful big bed that we made for him, but he just prefers to lie straight across the ground at the front doors. And
front and centre.
That's right, and be a big trip hazard.
Being the welcome mat. With well over 240 rooms, the Park Hyatt, or as Mr. Walker calls it, the Bark Hyatt, might well be one of the world's largest dog houses. I thought I might take Mr. Walker for a walk around the 5-star hotel, heading up the elevator to have a chat with one of his colleagues, sales manager George. So George, you're a sales manager here at the Park Hyatt. How long have you been working with the handsome Mr. Walker for?
Very fortunate to be working with Mr. Walker for 2 years.
Okay, yeah.
Very good with families, so young children, because he's very calm and collected, but he also brings that, I guess, sense of calmness to a lot of our guests who come in, which is very important because we want them to relax.
Yeah, and like arriving at a hotel can be pretty stressful sometimes if you've just come in from a plane, or that it's not always the most smooth time.
It is here at the Park Hyatt Melbourne.
Of course. But I'm sure Mr. Walker makes that even smoother.
He does. No, a lot of people do come to our hotel to see Mr. Walker, and he does have more social media followers than our actual hotel page.
Yeah, he has a huge Instagram, doesn't he?
He does. I need to learn some tips from the old fella, but...
So you're a sales manager, so
Yes.
you'd be knowing sort of some of the drivers for why people are choosing your hotel. Do you feel like sometimes it comes down to the fact that Mr. Walker is here?
He would say yes. A funny story, he was a very busy day, as I'm sure you can imagine, in an international hotel like ourselves, and we had a lot of arrival guests coming through, and if you're not familiar with our driveway, the front doors, he just decided to sleep in the middle of the front door.
Yep.
Everyone else had to work around him on this particular Friday, which is very busy for us on weekends.
And you're bringing people's bags in and...
Correct,
yeah.
but don't move Mr. Walker, he's working, he knows what he's doing. So no, very, very funny.
Day to day, obviously he's spending a bit of time in the morning and the afternoon greeting guests. You go on walks with him as well, I believe?
We do go on walks with him, especially during the month of August, or Porgust as we like to call it. So our guests can also join to walk with Mr. Walker at 7 a.m. and we do raise money for Guide Dogs Victoria, so it's a wonderful cause. But he is well looked after. He's walked every day by our hotel manager Lee, who he lives with, and our bell team also look after him during the day. He joins us in meetings as well. It's really, really good to have from a staff and colleague perspective.
Yeah.
So he does join us for our daily meetings, and he has been known to unfortunately pass away during those meetings, which is always an interesting...
A little bit of levity to the meeting, maybe?
He does his own thing. He thinks he's the boss, I reckon, yeah.
Well, it's been such a pleasure meeting you and seeing Mr. Walker hard at work, as per usual.
Not right now, but no, later on this afternoon he'll be very hard at
so
work.
later on he's going to be having another shift out the front.
He will, from 3 till 5:30. He'll be greeting all of our guests arriving today, and it's a big part of his day and he loves it very much. So.
Yeah, it must be really, really rewarding for him to have just a constant stream of new friends.
That's it, rewarding for him, rewarding for our guests, and rewarding for us as staff. He's such a wonderful colleague to work with, and I guess it's a very special working environment, and one that we'll remember hopefully for as long as we continue to live our careers out. So
yeah, pretty unique experience.
Very much so, and one I'd recommend for all workplaces, if I can say so.
Install a dog in every workplace.
That's it.
After going through the training process at Guide Dogs Victoria, Mr. Walker found his eventual calling as Melbourne's first ever canine ambassador, helping to raise awareness around the important role guide dogs play in the lives of people with blindness or low vision. So Mr. Walker lives with you?
Yes,
right?
I take him home.
Yeah, and home is the hotel.
And home is the hotel.
Yeah.
I live on site, so there's no point him being downstairs when I'm upstairs, so I just take him home. And
I can tell that he definitely has a strong connection, strong relationship with you.
Yeah.
Because he loves seeing every person he meets, it seems like, but I did notice when you came in, his eyes absolutely lit up. So
I think, to be honest, with a Labrador, whoever feeds them is the most important person in the world. And I give him his breakfast and his dinner and then his special treat at lunchtime.
What's his special treat?
Well, believe it or not, is a carrot.
Really?
He loves a carrot.
Yep.
You like a carrot? Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah. Wow.
Soon.
What's so special about the carrots, do you think?
He absolutely loves them, and funnily enough, the guide dogs were telling me that they use carrots in their training because you can give them carrots as a treat and a reward and they don't get fat.
Oh,
whereas if you were giving biscuits or meat, the dog's going to get bigger and bigger. So yeah. A guest once said to me, or said to Walker, the day you failed the guide dogs was the best day of your life.
I think so.
He certainly
Absolutely
did pretty
spoiled.
well. He's got a pretty nice place to call home.
Well, Lee, thanks so much for your chat today. It was great to meet Mr. Walker here, but I know he does have to head off to his afternoon shift, is that right?
Yes, just about to clock on.
Well, we better not get in his way. He's obviously got a busy afternoon ahead of him. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Sarah. It was a pleasure.
What a special visit and what a special dog. There are a lot of ways to support Mr. Walker's cause, from donations, puppy sponsorship and volunteering. To learn more, look for Mr. Walker's story online or pick up one of his adventures in your local bookstore. I know I will. More Dog Jobs Australia after the break. I'm here at Melbourne Zoo and I'm about to talk to Chris Hartnett about Zoos Victoria's 2 amazing dog programs. Let's go have a chat. So, hi Chris, can you tell us a little bit about your role at Zoos Victoria?
Yeah, hi Sarah. At Zoos Victoria, I'm a Threatened Species Project Officer and I work within the Wildlife Conservation and Science team.
Okay, so there's a lot of teams here at Zoos Victoria.
There are so many teams.
What's your team involved
So
in?
a lot of the teams are involved in all the operations of a big zoo, whereas my team, we work a lot with wild populations. We work on species recovery actions for some of Victoria's most threatened species.
Okay.
Zoos Victoria has 27 priority species that we work with.
Wow.
So within my team, within the Threatened Species team, we have particular leads for each of those programs so that we can really focus a lot of energy and effort into recovering those species from the brink of extinction.
Okay, excellent. And that's, I suppose, where the dog programs are coming in. The zoo has 2 dog programs?
Yeah, so at Zoos Victoria we're working with a group of amazing dogs. We collaboratively kind of call them the Fighting Extinction Dog Squad.
Okay. Yeah.
And the dog squad has 2 branches. So there's the guardian dogs and the detection dogs, and they each have quite a different role to play in threatened species conservation.
Well, let's start off by talking about the Guardian Dog program.
Yeah, it's an amazing project. So it started in 2016. It was based at Werribee Open Range Zoo. And the idea behind the project is to trial the use of guardian dogs to protect a beautiful little native Australian marsupial called the eastern barred bandicoot. Since the introduction of foxes and cats to Australia, the bandicoot has really suffered a high rate of predation. So the thinking is that we could use these guardian dogs that have been used for hundreds of years to protect livestock, to protect the bandicoots, mostly from foxes, but also, from cat predation as well, just by being in the same place at the same time.
Okay, so you've chosen a species that naturally likes to guard animals?
That's right, yeah. So they're Maremma dogs. You might have seen Belle and Sebastian. They're very well utilised over centuries for livestock protection.
Yeah, I believe in Italy they were looking after livestock for centuries.
Yeah, that's right. So we thought because we can really harness the natural instinct of these dogs to protect livestock, we're not trying to get them to do anything that doesn't come naturally. And it's about rewarding them and training them with lots of positive reinforcement to do a job for us that they love doing. Really high welfare in that training where you're not kind of trying to force them to do something, and you really can't force a Maremma to do anything you don't want them to do.
No, I hear they're really stubborn. In fact, I've heard they're not recommended as pets because they can be, very independent.
They're really intelligent, really loyal, independent. You could, if you understood the dog really well, it's just about that investment of time.
Yeah.
So at Werribee Open Range Zoo, we took these dogs on as pups into the program, and it took 4 years before they were ready to be deployed on the trial with the eastern barred bandicoots. So full-time investment into the training of these dogs.
And are you training them to guard the bandicoots themselves?
It's a really interesting take on this in that the dogs will bond to whatever they're protecting. So they want to bond to a flock. Unfortunately, the bandicoot, it's solitary, it's nocturnal, so really difficult to get a Maremma to
with
bond
dogs.
to a bandicoot. So the thinking was we can bond them to a flock of sheep. The bandicoots and the sheep both enjoy the same natural habitat, and what we needed to do, there's this extra layer of complexity where we needed to train the dogs to recognise an eastern barred bandicoot and then ignore it.
Right.
Yeah,
You don't want them thinking it's a fun toy.
Exactly
Yeah.
right. So we have them in the habitat. They're bonded to the sheep. They're moving around that environment. They're moving around the reserve, marking their territory with scent, and that's going to deter any foxes and cats. And so the bandicoots will actually benefit from their presence on the
Such
site.
a creative approach to it, to think about it that way and to get over those obstacles.
I mean, we're faced with challenges all the time in threatened species conservation. So with the bandicoots, they're doing well when they're behind fences, and we can keep those fences intact and keep foxes and cats out, but that's hugely expensive and difficult. With the guardian dogs, we can have them at unfenced sites.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's a huge step forward. They are now doing well enough in the wild that we no longer need to actually breed eastern barred bandicoots in captivity.
Well, we might speak a little bit about the other dog program you help with at Zoos Victoria.
Dogs. Yeah, so the detection dog program started way back in around 2017 when we did a proof of concept phase, and that was more of a trial where we were looking at whether you could use detection dogs, or sniffer dogs as they're sometimes known, to find threatened species in the wild. We know, of course, that dogs have this amazing ability to detect minute concentrations of odour, but we did wonder whether we could transfer that. So we started with a trial, and we used a contractor who's an amazing dog trainer. I can give Luke a plug, Luke Edwards from Canada Development, and his 2 border collies, Rubble and Uda. So they did a fantastic job. The dogs were trained to detect the borbor frog, one of our fighting extinction 27 priority species, a little brown frog that lives in gullies in incredibly dense alpine region, well, one particularly small alpine region on Mount Borbor, really limited distribution, and fallen logs. It's like Jurassic Park kind of environment. So in that proof of concept phase, we showed that the dogs could actually detect the presence of borbor frogs. It was quite unbelievable. I feel like we set them almost an impossible task, and they succeeded.
Oh, can you tell us a little bit about the dogs themselves?
Sure. So at the moment we have 2 dogs that are trained up and working on detection work for our threatened species. One of our detection dogs, Moss, is a Labrador. He's quite a young dog. He'd be about 2.5 by now. So Moss was surrendered by a family that, for whatever reason, just found him too challenging. And probably a lot of the people watching this will be able to relate to maybe having a dog that's just too full of energy. You can never tire them out. They just want to keep chasing that ball, or they may have other behavioural issues. So some of those qualities actually make them perfect as detection dogs. Our trainers are really careful in their selection of dogs, and we source our dogs from various organisations that have similar welfare principles to Zoos Victoria. So Moss came into the program. He was a super hyperactive boy, but to watch his transformation over the last couple of years that he's been in the program, since he was, pretty much a pup, really hyperactive, easily distracted, couldn't concentrate, would jump on people. Now he's just this beautiful working dog. He loves what he's doing when he's on the scent. You can just see his concentration. And recently I observed Moss, he was doing some detection of broad-toothed rat scat. That's his target odour. The broad-toothed rat is a beautiful native rodent, also endangered and on our watch list. And just to see Moss sit and direct his nose and all his concentration at the location of his target odour was a beautiful thing to see.
So we've spoken a little bit about Moss, but tell us about Kip.
Kip's beautiful. Kip is a 6-year-old Kelpie cross. He's a really experienced detection dog, so he's worked on other species before he was working with our program at the zoo. So it just means he's been able to sort of jump straight into the program, and he's been doing a fair bit of challenging work on the borbor frog that I mentioned earlier. So as I said, the borbor frog was a species we worked with in that proof of concept phase with dogs that were not part of the program. So we've kind of started that training again with Kip. So he and his handler Naomi have had a few trips up on Mount Borbor with our frog specialists.
Incredible.
And it's a hugely steep learning curve.
If people are watching at home and they want to support the detection dogs, they can go to the Zoos Victoria website to maybe donate or maybe even just visit the zoo to come along as a visitor?
Yep, absolutely. Visit the zoo. When you visit the zoo, the funds from the gate takings and from memberships and so forth are all channeled into both caring for our animals on property, but also the conservation work we do. And if people head to Hillsville Sanctuary, they might just see the detection dog team out and about. They can see a demonstration of how the dogs do their training work on threatened species.
Well, Chris, thank you so much for your time today.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Sarah.
2 amazing stories down, 1 more to come. Join us after the break. Just outside of Melbourne CBD lies St Vincent's Hospital. For over 120 years, many have passed through the halls of this historic hospital, but perhaps none as special or as tiny as Macca, St Vincent's Hospital's own therapy dog. Today, I'm getting a chance to meet Macca and the team of amazing people behind his project. So Jude, you have a couple of special roles at this hospital. You're the Manager of Volunteer Services, and maybe arguably more importantly, you are mum to our little star volunteer here, Macca.
I am. Macca's 3, and I would think that's my more important role.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he's absolutely beloved in the hospital here. How long has he been working here?
I've been bringing Macca in since he was 5 months old.
Wow. Okay, so and how old is he now?
He's going to be 4 in November, so he's 3.
He's still quite a young man, but he's kind of grown up here with you at the hospital.
He has, so he's gotten very used to it. And he's been coming in right through the pandemic. We haven't had volunteers through the pandemic period. They're back now. But whilst we didn't have volunteers, he still came in, and either myself or the volunteer coordinator, Kate, took him around the wards.
That must have made a huge difference.
It did.
Not just for the patients, I'm sure, but for the staff as well.
Yeah, it was a huge morale booster, and the staff love him. He really does lift the spirits.
Of course he does. Macca's important role hasn't gone unnoticed outside the hospital either. In 2021, he triumphed over 500 other pooches to be crowned the top dog with a job at the inaugural Oz Top Dog Awards. Go Macca! What sort of qualities are you looking for in a pet therapy dog?
We're looking for dogs that are social.
Yeah.
Dogs that engage with people. We don't want jumpers.
No, I imagine that would be a big thing. And people with their little bouncy, excitable dogs might think, but my dog's so friendly.
Yeah, and you have to be very careful of things like skin tears, particularly on our older patients.
Yeah.
So we look for dogs that are, they don't have to be super obedience trained.
Okay, yep.
But we look for dogs that are well behaved enough.
Yeah, and calm, it sounds like.
Calm,
yeah.
And also engaged with their handler, with their owner.
Oh, right.
So we know that the handler will have them under control and that there's a rapport between the dog and the handler. We have all breeds. We've had an Irish wolfhound.
Oh, right. So that's a big contrast to this
right
little
down
fella.
To Macca. I think Macca's...
Is he the smallest?
Yeah, Macca's the smallest we've had.
And how much does he weigh at the moment?
Just on 3 kilos.
He's a little man.
He is.
Little man. A little man with a big heart. Out in the courtyard, it's time to meet another one of Macca's colleagues, Kate. So Kate, you're the coordinator of volunteer services here at the hospital, and you've been working with Macca pretty much the whole time he's been working here.
I have, yeah. So, Macca's almost 4 now, so I've known him since he was a puppy. He's been pretty much born and bred here at St Vincent's, and it's a regular feature coming in each week.
And I understand that you were really involved in taking him around the wards during those COVID lockdowns?
That's right. Unfortunately, we couldn't have volunteers visit during that period, and a lot of our patients were really quite isolated because they weren't able to have visitors from their family and loved ones as well. So in order to maintain our beautiful pet therapy program, I started taking Macca around. And it was just a wonderful thing to be able to do during that period.
Yeah, what did that feel like when you were
quite emotional, if I'm honest.
Yep.
It was an emotional and challenging time for everyone, our patients, their families and our staff. So the pet therapy program is beautiful because it not only livens up the day of our patients who weren't able to have visitors during that period, but really brightened the spirits of our staff. As I said, it was quite challenging for a long period of time. It wasn't just a week or a month, as we all know. It was a couple of years. So they would really look forward to seeing Macca when he came in, and he was pretty much a superstar on the ward.
I bet he was so popular.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Pets, and especially dogs, have a sixth sense, if you like, and can really pick up on a patient if they're feeling anxious or a little bit sad. So during that period, it was really beautiful to be able to take Macca around and visit with those patients and really lift their spirits. A lot of them have dogs or pets themselves at home.
Yeah, that they would be missing.
That's right. So he may be small, but he made a massive difference during that time and continues to do so for St Vincent's.
So Catherine, you're the nurse unit manager for neurosurgery here, and you've been working with Macca for a long time, I understand?
Yes, Macca's been working with us for a couple of years, and his work has been instrumental during the pandemic. So when patients were here, visitors obviously weren't permitted into hospitals, particularly during the surges. So Macca was a little touch of home for a lot of the patients. So as you would have seen on his round before, he just brightens the lives of the staff and the patients. And you feel lighter, you feel happier. You know, I've seen stroke patients move an arm for the first time post a stroke to pat Macca. I've also witnessed a patient speak for the first time post a stroke. I think the connection that animals have with humans is phenomenal. And I think had we not had pet therapy at St Vincent's, we would never have known this. So for us, it's been instrumental. Macca works as part of the neurosurgery team alongside the neurosurgeons, the doctors, the nurses and allied health. And we love him. We absolutely love him, and so do the patients.
Very loved. So when we think of pet therapy, we often think of those emotional well-being outcomes, which of course is fantastic. But for what you're saying there, it sounds like there are even some real physical benefits from that pet therapy.
Absolutely. A patient to reach out and touch Macca is incredible. You know, we can do exercises with patients and may not get the same effect.
Yeah, but he's bringing, there's obviously a motivation when Macca's involved.
Absolutely. There's an innate connection, I think, with humans and animals. There's not really enough words to express it. You have to see it in action. And you'll see one of our patients, Eric, just his face is lit up before. You know, often patients sit there in quiet solitude and then Macca walks in and it's a completely different environment.
Because being in hospital, especially in an acute setting, is really, really tough for the patients, and you see quite a positive impact on their well-being from the visits.
Macca's changed our lives up here, not only for the staff but for the patients. Everyone looks forward to Macca's visit. You always hear the chant, when's Macca coming? When is Macca here? And that's most of the time the staff, and the patients grow to love him as well.
Well, how wonderful to have our little friend just spreading joy wherever he goes.
We are truly blessed.
How great is my job, getting to tell the stories of these amazing dogs. Join us next time on our next episode of Dog Jobs Australia.